Hello viewers, this is Utisam Mathematics. I am on the series, the 7 building blocks of mathematics. Block 7, quadratic equation. I have been looking at various ways of solving quadratic equation. In my last video, I did something on method of factorization. In this video, I'm going to look at how to use method of completing square to solve quadratic equation. Before that, we know that when a number is perfect square, we don't struggle to identify. Example is, we can talk of 4, you can talk of 9, you can talk of 16, 25, even 1 is a perfect square. That 4 can be written as 2 times 2. 9 can also be written as 3 times 3, which is 3 squared. This one 2 squared. 25 is 5 times 5, which can be written as 5 squared. Yes. But when it comes to expressions, how do you know that an expression is a perfect square? For example, x plus y all squared. Because for numbers, 2 squared is a perfect square, which will give you 4. 9 is 3 times 3, which is 3 squared. So when it comes to algebraic expression, if you have x plus y all squared, it's a perfect square. So when you expand, you get x squared plus 2xy plus y squared. You can talk of x minus 3 all squared. When you expand this, you have x squared minus 6x plus 9. Now, if you have this expression, well, you can easily identify that it is a perfect square. But when it is in expanded form like this, how do we know that this is a perfect square? And it's very simple. You find half of the coefficient of the middle term. Now this time it is 6 divided by 2 is minus 3. And when you square it, if you get the third term here, then the expression is a perfect square. So what we are going to look at is the expression given is not a perfect square. It's not complete. So we are going to add a term to that expression to make it a complete square. That's all that we are going to do. So let's look at how we are going to do it. I have some questions here that I want to go through with you. Complete the square for the following. We first want to look at how to complete the square so that when it comes to the solving, we will not have a problem. X squared plus 3x. Now to complete the square, the coefficient of x squared must be 1. Okay, when that is done, you come to the second term, the coefficient of the second term. You take half of the coefficient of the second term. So this is the same as you take 1x. Now the coefficient of the middle term is 3. So half times 3 is equal to 3 on 2. So plus whatever you get, 3 on 2, then you square it. See, this is the term that is being added, so we must subtract it so that we get the original expression. So minus 3 on 2 all squared. So this is equal to, bracket open, x plus 3 on 2 all squared minus, now 3 squared is 9, and then 2 squared is 4. Yes, so that is the answer. So let me go over. You check, you make sure the coefficient of the x squared, the variable square, is 1. If it is not 1, you have to make it so. You then find half of the middle term, coefficient of the middle term, and and this time is 3. Now half of it will be 3 on 2. You take the variable, you add it to the answer that you got, you square both, minus 3, the term that you added, 3 on 2, all squared. Let's look at this. Example 2. We have 2x squared minus x. We have to make it a complete square. So first, as I've said, you make sure the coefficient of the first term, that is the variable square, should be 1. So how do you make it 1? This is not an equation, so you can't divide. You need to factorize. So to factorize, you bring the coefficient out, x, and then you divide the rest of the term. This time you have the other term by 2. So x on 2. So let me rewrite it. So 2 times x minus 1 on 2 x. So let's look at how you go about it. So as I've said, this time the coefficient of the variable square is 1. So we come here. So half times the coefficient of the middle term. This is giving us minus 1 on 4. So you take x, 1x, and this is minus 1 on 4. You square it. Minus, you're going to add that term that you got. Minus 1 on 4 all squared. Now let's put them in a bigger bracket. So we have 2 times the bigger bracket, x minus 1 on 4 all squared, minus 1 on 16. We then multiply through by the constant. So we have 2 times x minus 1 on 4 all squared. 2 times 1 on 16, 2 go here, 8. So you have minus 1 on 8. Let's look at the other one. We have 3 terms. 3 terms. The same thing. Remember, we'll be looking at the first 2 terms. This will be there, alright. But to complete the square, you look at the first 2 terms. So let's check. The coefficient here is 1. Yes, so we can go ahead and then complete the square. So we find the half of the coefficient of the middle term. So half times minus 5, giving us minus 5 on 2. So this is equal to bracket open. You take one of the variable, and this is minus 5 on 2 squared. Then you subtract the square from it. Minus 5 on 2 all squared, minus, there's minus 6 there, minus 6. So let's simplify. X minus 5 on 2 all squared, minus, we have, this is 25 on 4 minus 6. So we can find the LCM. So what is the LCM? LCM is 4. 4 into 4, 1 times minus, this is minus 25. And then 1 into 4, 4 times minus 6. So you have minus 24. So we are having bracket open x minus 5 on 2 all squared, and minus 25 minus 24 is giving us minus 49 on 4. Minus 49 on 4. So that is the answer. Knowing how to complete the square, the next step, solve quadratic equation using completing of square. Okay, solve the equation x squared minus 5x minus 6 is equal to 0 by the method of completing square. We are x squared minus 5x minus 6 is equal to 0. We have learned how to complete the square, and with this we just completed the square here, so we can easily substitute this. Completing the square, we have x minus 5 on 2 all squared minus 49 over 4 is equal to 0. We want to find x, so this implies that x minus 5 on 2 all squared is equal to 49 on 4. So you first have to take the square root on both sides. So x minus 5 on 2 will be equal to, now taking the square root on both sides, on the right hand side it will be plus or minus square root of 49 over 4. So we have x minus 5 on 2, which is equal to plus or minus. Why plus or minus? It indicates that we are going to get two solutions. So according to said, you can write it as root 49 over root 4. So x minus 5 on 2 is equal to plus or minus square root of 49 is 7 on square root of 4 is 2. So x will be equal to, let's send this one to the right hand side, 5 on 2 plus or minus 7 on 2. So you can, to get the two values of x, so x1, you take one of the signs, 5 on 2 plus 7 on 2, because the denominators are the same. So 5 plus 7 is 12 on 2, which is giving us 6. So the second value of x will be 5 on 2, we take the other sign, minus 7 on 2. And because the denominators are the same, here we have minus 2 on 2, which is minus 1. So therefore, x is equal to minus 1 and then 6. So viewers, understand that solving quadratic equation gives two values. So don't forget to bring your plus or minus when you are using completing of square to show that you'll be getting two values.